Go down to Sean Spicer, Sean being the communications director for the Republican National Committee, also one of their chief strategists. Sean, good to have you with me. And first off, do you respect and accept the FBI's investigation and the statements of Director Comey as conclusive and fair about Clinton's email server and that no recommendations of charges should come from this investigation?
Well, I don't understand it, to be honest with you, Thomas. If you listen to the first 14 minutes of the 15-minute press conference, the director lays out a case which is very clear. It's an indictment on Hillary Clinton's judgment, on her fitness to be president. He talks about the words reckless, how there was blatant disregard for the law and the process he set out. That's what her job was. That is gross negligence as defined by the legal system. So I don't understand how you can lay out an entire case and talk about how the culture at the State Department didn't understand the importance of protecting national security, how she was reckless in handling it, and then not conclude that there's a violation. What he said was, we don't think this should be prosecuted. I don't understand how you can lay out a case like that of all of those kind of things and then come to that conclusion. But furthermore, I think the bigger point that I have a hard time understanding is the entire reason that the secret server was set up was to intentionally evade detection and tracking and transparency. So the motive behind doing it, frankly, which is one of the things that he talked about, was specifically to avoid playing by the rules and following the law as set out. So I frankly don't understand how they square that circle.
When it comes to intent, though, specifically, he said that they found no evidence of any additional work-related emails intentionally deleted in an effort to conceal them. And also, based on what their investigation was going after, it was about the intentional and willful mishandling of classified information. And he said that we did not find these things here. Your boss, the RNC
they
chair,
found 100 additional ones.
But your boss, the RNC chair, Reince Priebus, tweeted about this, saying gross negligence equals blatant indifference to one's legal duty. Comey defined Hillary Clinton's actions as gross negligence in that presser. So is it the RNC's position that Director Comey is acting in a partisan way to aid Clinton of wrongdoing?
I don't know. I'm not going to go that far. I would say that I don't understand how he lays out the case that he does. And the chairman's point was he laid out an entire case for gross negligence. She didn't do her job as a reasonable person should have done it, which is what the law says, and then come to the conclusion, oh, well, we're not going to take any action. And so I just don't understand how he can lay out the case, which is the definition of gross negligence, and then say, but we're not going to act upon it. Right? But let's get back, Thomas. Again, the entire reason that the server, or servers, as we now know, was set up was intentionally to evade detection and transparency. The underlying point, the reason that she was told time and time again that she needed to use a State Department email and to follow protocols and rules that she signed a document saying she would do, was to actually undermine the very rules that she had said she would uphold. So that's where, again, I don't understand how he can come to a conclusion that she clearly set out to avoid and evade from the get-go.
So are you saying then it is Comey's intent to aid Clinton of wrongdoing? Because if he's laying out this case and you're saying it's checking all the boxes that would meet the federal statutes to bring criminal charges, then why isn't Director Comey recommending that to the DOJ? What is his intent? Are you saying it's to aid Clinton?
I'm not quite, look, no, but again, I'm not questioning his intent. I don't agree with his conclusion. So I'm not necessarily saying, but I don't understand how he didn't take any questions, and I think there's a lot of explaining to do. A couple days after the Attorney General met privately with Bill Clinton, there's a lot more questions that get answered. So I get it that he got to get up, give a briefing, but what he laid out for the first 14 minutes does not jive with the conclusion that he came to at the end. You cannot talk about how what the actions that Hillary Clinton had were susceptible to foreign hackers. You cannot talk about the fact that there were additional top secret, classified, and confidential emails that were found out. Come to all of those conclusions, use a word like reckless, use a word like blatant disregard, and then say, oh, by the way, the answer does not prove any further action. It doesn't make sense. And I think there is a lot more questions that have to get answered. I think holding it a couple hours before the President of the United States goes and campaigns with her for the first time is questionable. I mean, there is a lot lot more that needs to get answered. It just does not make any sense. And
so do you think Comey's acting in a partisan way? Sean, you keep dancing around that, though. I mean, now you're questioning the timing of Comey's announcement. So why is Comey's timing on the announcement?
No, you're the one.
No. Why is you just brought up Comey's announcement before Clinton and Obama's event? So that's not me bringing that up. Why would you bring that up? Why do you keep going back to Comey's announcement, the intent of his findings, and not matching up with legality, that there are no recommendation of charges? I mean, it seems as if you're trying to say there's some other type of intent taking place here.
No, I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, Thomas. No, what I'm actually saying is I think to get up, to lay out a case like that, and then to come to an opposite conclusion without taking any questions or any further explanation requires leaves further questions on the table. I think there's a lot more that needs to get answered. I do think that a lot of this is suspicious, and I think the idea that people don't think that this looks, kind of weird, it makes me question that if this was a Republican, you guys would be indicting them to the all day long. This idea that there's nothing that looks odd about this, the day after she spends 3.5 hours privately meeting, something that no other citizen would get the opportunity to do, again, there's a lot more questions that need to get answered. This is just not a conclusion that you can just get up, give a briefing, and then walk away. It just seems very odd. I think that Hillary Clinton has a lot more explaining to do. I think that there's a lot more questions that the Justice Department should answer. But and then obviously to go and have the timing of a rally right after this leaves a lot of questions to be answered. I'm not questioning his intent. I'm actually saying that there are further questions because I think the timing is a little odd. Right after the Attorney General meets with the former president, as Ari said in the previous segment, the idea that they probably had the conclusion already made and just wanted to meet with her as a formality sort of calls into question some of the timing of this as well. So I think there are some additional questions. What the attorney laid out the FBI director laid out for 14 minutes calls in mind a lot of serious questions about the culture of the State Department that she ran and her actions. The underlying intent, though, of creating a secret servers to begin with was clearly to evade detection and transparency and record keeping. Huma Abedin over the weekend talked about her destroying schedules. So to come to a conclusion that after laying out that case, that all of those things occurred and yet there is no action that should be taken does not pass the smell test.
So, Sean, two things I just want to give everybody a quick update on. We're watching on One Box the images coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina. This is where the President and Secretary Clinton will be appearing at this rally. We're also monitoring a State Department briefing where they're giving us an update on ISIS activities and one thing that had to deal with a drone that went down. We just heard from our Richard Engel about what happened with that, and we'll go back to the State Department here in a second. But, Sean, I just want to get you on the record about what Donald Trump has done as a reaction. He's been tweeting about this. He sent one tweet that said former CIA Director Petraeus got in trouble for not sending. For the system is rigged. General David Petraeus got in trouble for far less. Very, very unfair, as usual, bad judgment. But as I know we talked about, former CIA Director, this was years ago, he got in trouble for not sending emails, but for sharing an email account with his biographer and former girlfriend, revealing and leaking classified information because they would correspond through the drafts folder, and then he lied to the FBI about it, and he pled guilty to a single misdemeanor. That's another issue here with Hillary Clinton taking this meeting, not under oath with the FBI, but there would be an issue with a false statement act where she could be in trouble if something didn't jive with their investigation. That is also not something that Comey announced or spoke to, and it seems as if the investigative interview matches up with their investigation so far. We'll wait to see if there's more that comes out of that. But then there's the other tweet, Sean, the one that Donald Trump sent featuring a six-sided star, the pile of money, and an attack ad on Clinton. And I should note, while it came from his account, we don't know if he sent it. It was deleted, then fixed with another image. But still, we had Speaker Paul Ryan coming out saying that he felt it was anti-Semitic and that those images have no place in a presidential campaign, going on to say, look, I really believe he has to clean up the way his social media works. Does the RNC think that this tweet was anti-Semitic? And is it concerned why the campaign won't say where this Twitter account originally sent this image from?
Well, I think they did. They put out a statement from the social media director talking about how it came, saying it was a mistake, and that was updated. So I don't think there's any intent there beyond a mistake was made and they cleaned it up. Look, when you look at Donald Trump and you actually look at in 1985 when he purchased Mar-a-Lago and the liberal elites in Palm Beach had clubs down there that excluded people because of their religion or the color of their skin, it was Donald Trump who came down in 1995, 30 years ago, before it was cool to be politically correct, and said, I'm going to open a club up, Mar-a-Lago, and I'm going to open it to blacks and Jews and anybody else. I don't care about the color of anyone's skin, the religion. I'm going to make my club open for everyone, and faced a backlash against it. So 30 years ago, when he wasn't running for anything, he showed the kind of person that he was, and he fought the system, fought the liberal elites down in Palm Beach, and said, I'm going to make a club that's open to everybody. So, look at the content of the man and the actions that he's taken. I think that's who he is. They made a mistake on social media and they apologized. That's a big difference than what Hillary Clinton has done, which is set up a system which was intentionally set up to evade the processes, regulations that she swore, signed her name and swore a document saying that she was going to uphold. That's a very, very different thing. And you're talking about two people who are running for president of the United States that will have oversight over all of the classified information and set a culture from throughout the entire government. And so based on what the FBI director said today, the Hillary Clinton clearly does not have the judgment or character to be that president or to carry on that culture.
Sean Spicer with the RNC. Sean, great to have you on. Thank you for your time.